Good evening, Meir V'Arboisai. Welcome to Torah Anytime that sponsors us and so many other Shiurim. Tonight's Shiur is a special Shiur. It's the Zera Shimshon Thursday night, but also it's today's the yard side of the Bas Ayin, Gaon, Harav, Hatzadik, Hamaforsim, Rabbi Doiv, Ben Amagid of David, whose yard side is Yud Beis Kislev. So Ilui Nishmasai. I brought a Bas Ayin as well. Didn't make photocopies. I have to do that Bez Hashem next time. But we have also the Zera Shimshon as well as the Bas Ayin tonight. And tonight's Shiurim are first of all Le'ila Nishmas the Bas Ayin, as we mentioned, Zivug Nochain V'Hogid for Rivka Tziro Bas Edela Menucha, and for Rivka Riklo Bas Batsheva, and Parnosa Vashiris for David Israel Ben Eliezer, Uziel, David Uziel Ben Eliezer.
Not the wrong guy.
And the Rabbi Chaim Zol Helfen Ashiris, the Basayin is if you're. He said that they say over that when a person is Mahana under a Yidden, you give Hano to other Yidden, you give Hano and the yards of the Bas Ayin B'schusoi, so he Be'ez Hashem will help you. You should be Zeicha for Ashirus. My Rebbe Zechron Levracha had gezogt, Rav Moshe Shapiro, Al Pi Agoyim, that Ashirus is not the bracha. Ashirus, an oisher, is a person that has koyach. Listen to something very smart. Everything the Rebbe said was smart. Sometimes we're not zoichet to understand it. A person who's an oshir is a person who's a baal koyach. Yeshlo, we'd say in Ivrit, otzma. Kulam rotfim acharav. An ashir, ashiris isn't necessarily a bracha. The fact that the Rebbe Hashem gives somebody ashirus means he empowered the person. Azuniyah bal koach. And he can now do things with this koach that he has. What he does with it will decide if it's a bracha or not. Ashirus is the hechitimtza to do things for others. Ashirus is not an end, it's a means. An oisher, ein of us is an oisher, mishu ashir, as hu bal koyach, hu bal mashpia. Yeshlo koyach lahashpia, that's what he can do. Mao semze, what does he do with it? Zeh kvar talui. It could be a big bracha, halavai, and could be not. Right? But it's like we say, lebracha v'loy lekol. That's what Ashirus is. Al Kapon and Meir V'Arboisai tonight is the Bas Ayin's yard side. Tonight is also our regular Thursday night of Zera Shimshon. So we're doing both together. Should have in mind Reb Shimshon Chaim ben Reb Nachman Michael, as well as Reb Doiv ben Harav Reb David, both of them. And Lomer Machen Kodim Kol Alachayim Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Olam Shahakol Niyeh B'Dvaroi.
Amen.
L'chaim. Okay. Shin Lamed Vav. Letter Ches. Parshas VaYishlach. In Heintigavach said in this week's Parsha, Yaakov Avinu fights against the Malach. Yaakov Avinu beats the Malach. Vayaki lo yuchaloi, vayigaf v'karf yerechoi. Afterwards, he asks him what's his name. He says, "My name is Yaakov. Shimcha Yaakov shouldn't be called Yaakov. You should be Yisrael." Zog the Heilige Gemara in Brachas. Begins the Zera Shimshon. Toni bar kapar kol hakoyer la Avraham. Avram. If you call Avram, oiver ba'asei. Person's over a isser asei. Because the Torah Kedosha says, no longer shall your name be Avram, but Avraham. Frek the Gemara, Elamata kol hakar le Yaakov, Yaakov hochi nami. Just like HaKadosh Baruch Hu changed Avram to Avraham, he changed Yaakov to Yisrael. So maybe it should be usher for us to call Yaakov anymore. We should call him Yisrael because he got a name change. Says the Gemara, Shani Hazam the Hader Adre Kra. Since the Torah HaKadoshah itself called him after this episode, called him Yaakov, since the Torah HaKadoshah called him Yaakov, therefore, like it says, Vayomer Lakim Yisrael b'mara halayla Vayomer Yaakov Tizke Mitzvahs. So therefore, you see that the Torah is giving us the direction and giving us the instructions. The name Yisrael is not a replacement name, it's an additional name. By Avraham, it's a replacement. It's machlif, you replace it. Over here, you're not replacing, you're just adding a name. The chutz from Yaakov, you have now Yisrael. The kasha tuva. The Zera Shimshon, he's amazing. He always asks the out-of-the-box questions. He's never scared to tiskela mitzvahs. He's never scared to ask a kasha, a poshet, a kasha, which not everybody asks. Listen to the Zera Shimshon's kasha. Adarabba, Yoiser hayamuchach l'shana shema Yaakov v'loy laskiroi oid mishum de michzeg loshen ukva v'oino'o. Yaakov's name, l'chayra, is a negative name. It's a name of deceit. It's a name of trickery. Vayakveni et ma'oz gefoppt. He's fooled me not once, but twice. Shame on you, like they say. He fooled you twice. So since the name Yaakov, it's such a negative name, so maybe Adrabah, Frank the Zera Shimshon, Adrabah. Maybe Takadur by Nisham, when he gave the opportunity to change from Yaakov to Yisrael, so let's believe in Yisrael, let it stay Yisrael. Adrabah, let that be the name of Yaakov Avinu. No longer would call Yaakov. Question number 1. Veloma nishar ze b'mekoymai harishay. Why did it stay? Why did this name remain? If it's a negative name, zomen das ausrasen. Let us ne'eka. We should rip it out. We should rip out the name and not mention it. I know some people whose parents gave them some very funny names. Like
funny and negative, not necessarily. It's funny. It's not negative.
Like somebody was called Share Mayim. It was such interesting name. Share Mayim. Yeah. His middle name is Share Mayim. We don't call him up for the Aliyah like that. When we wrote his ksuba, we didn't do it. But but there's some people, their parents, when they're becoming frum, and they were so, I was once at the Kaisel. Mit mein eigener Euren, Tenli. I with their own ears with Rabbeinish Finkel, Zechron Levracha. It was back in 1985. There was a minyan. I was about Tshuva Svardi fellow. And he says, "V'yikar Shmoi b'Yisrael, Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hagilodi, Eliyahu Hatishbi." He was so exuberant. 3 times Eli. V'yikar Shmoi b'Yisrael, Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu Hagilodi. That's what he said. So, but this name Yaakov is a name. It's a negative name.
That's what Esav describes it.
That's a Shiur.
Esav says your name is Yaakov because of this. Doesn't mean that's the why. That's what Esav describes it.
That's right. So, but what's Takat Pshat? It's such a negative name. The Zera Shimshon is going to discuss that. Going to discuss Esav. Yeah.
How did he get the name? I'm saying.
We're going to see. Tonight's Zera Shimshon Shiur is about Yaakov's name that, from the one hand, is perceived as negative, but the Zera Shimshon and the Bas Ayin are going to teach us the milas of the name Yaakov. We think that the name Yaakov is such a negative name, a name of deceit, and to be orma. Bo ani arelecha, let me show you that the name is such a good positivi, such a heiligenom and bout. That's the purpose of tonight's shiur. That's the Zera Shimshon and the Bas Ayin. So, and the lama niska nishir zebe mekoymai. Va'af, HaKosiv says, Titein emes liyakov. V'liyisrael hoyeloi loimer. Titein emes liyisrael. Titein emes liyisrael. Lama lo titein emes liyisrael? Lama titein emes liyakov? Micha said this. He was already a Navi after the name was changed. So why didn't he say it then? Titein emes liyisrael. Yisrael dach ki sarisa lemekim vatuchol. V'zados emes. Shara Yaakov uloshin ukva. Ve'enoi loshin emet. If anything, Yaakov is not emes. Yaakov was the whole dreikop. Right? Ani, Esav b'chayrecha, l'chayra. V'yeshloima de le'el beParshas Bereshis. Al aposik na'aseh odom. Pay attention, Rabbi Isai. Is it going to say a groise vort? On the pasuk of na'aseh odom. She'omar Moshe. Moshe, the Medrash brings down, asked the Rabbi Shalom. The definition of na'aseh adam means let us make man. Right? Miza us. Miza us. Rabbi Shalom, you didn't do it? You didn't do it levad? Maza us. So it says, like Eliezer is saying, that the Rabbi Shalom, it brought down in the Medrash and the Gemara, he asked the Malachim what they said. So therefore, he included not that the Malachim made man, Kadosh Baruch Hu made him, but he took the Malachim's opinion into consideration. So therefore, it says Nasa. But Moshe Rabbeinu said, but the Minim and the Apikursim are going to say that there is more than one creator. If it says Nasa, and even your Chumash says there's more than one creator. It's Mazeh. That's what Moshe Rabbeinu asked about Shefer. Listen to what the Rebbeinu Shalom says. What he says. Aroitza litois hishav la'Kadosh Baruch Hu. Aroitza litois yiteh. You want to make a mistake? Go ahead and make a mistake. Pirashnu, says the Zera Shimshon. Back in Bereshis, we said pshat. She'ein onu achrayim lemi sheroitza lischazik besvara chalusha umu'etes kedei lahakish emes. It's not our responsibility for a person who wants to make himself, he's going to be unreasonable. We give you a good answer. We give you an explanation. And you're going to want to be stubborn. The person's going to be stubborn and say, no, this is the pshat. Must be that there's more than one Bashefer. Must be more than creator. And that's it. So, hang yourself. We're not achroi for that. If you're going to become an apikaris because of that, the Torah Kedosha has a message to give, and he gives a place where a person could make a mistake. That's what we said over here. Hochinami, hoyu shelafio emes shem Yaakov nikra kach lefi sheschoroi eina ela ba'akev. You know what the word akev means? Ikvasa de Mashiach. What is Ikvasa de Mashiach? Anybody ever heard the word Ikvasa de Mashiach? Footsteps. Ikvasa means in the end. Or let's use the lashon of V'haya Ekev Tishme'un. What does Ekev mean? Heal. You hear? So Pasha means because of, right? For the reason of. Right? Or a lashon of Ekev Asher Shama Avram Bekoili. Ekev means in because of or in due to the fact. Says the Zera Shimshon, Yaakov's name Yud plus Ayin Kuf Beis Ekev is the schar of Yidden in the end. In the ultimate end. Listen to what he says. Lefi shescharoi einai ela be'ekev dahainu ba'olam haba hayud. Take the letter yud plus the word ekev muchach shelefi she'olam haba nivra biyud hainu yud ekev. The yud meaning. Listen to this, Rabbi Isai. The yud is the letter of the future. Yud is the letter of the future. Zeh, like Rashi says, Yud al Shem HaMachshava Nemra. Oz Yoshir. The letter Yud, when you have a word in Lashon HaKodesh. Ani Oseh, I'm doing. Ani ya'aseh means I'll do it in the future. Ani hoylech, ani yelech. I will go. That little yudala, says Rashi, Oz Yosher is abstract. Where is it? Efo zeh b'machshava. Now you're thinking about it. Yud and K, ki bekah Hashem, Yud and K tzur olamim. Hey, olam hazeh, Yud olam haba. Yud, akev, is in the Yud, in the olam haba, akev, that's where you're going to get Ekev asher shama avram bekoili. That's when you get the schar mitzvah b'haya moleka. Yaakov Avinu's ikr, Mokoim, is not this world. When they were fighting in the mommy's stomach, Yaakov Avinu said, I don't want this world. I just want this world to get to the next world. Esav wants this world. For me, I want to get straight to the next world. I have to go through this world. It's a hallway. Why was he called Yaakov? And who gave him the name? Who gave him the name?
Yitzhak.
Yitzchak, you say. Do you know that Rashi has two pshatim? You know Rashi has two pshatim? Listen to this, Rabbi Chaim. Listen to an unknown Rashi. Suppose you're supposed to learn Rashi, right? L'chayra. Listen to what Rashi says. Zogt Rashi. And his hand is holding the heel of Esav. Vayikra Shema Yaakov. VaYishlach ben Shishim Shana. Says Rashi. Vayikra Shema. By Esav it says Vayikra'u. They called him. By Yaakov it says Vayikra.
One person.
HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Atem kritem lebecharchem, afani ekra lebechari. You called your bechar, I'm going to call my bechar. Vayikra Shema Yaakov. Davar acher. Another pshat. Aviv karila Yaakov Hashem achizas ha'ekev. That's the davar acher. That's the second pshat. Says the Sifsei Chachamim, the raya in the pasuk is the first pshat. Why? Because listen to the pasuk. The pasuk says, Yaakov v'Yitzchak and Yitzchak. Mashma, we weren't talking about Yitzchak until now. Yitzchak was now we talk and Yitzchak, but I called him. That's what he says. Why did the Kadosh Baruch Hu call him? Where did the name Yaakov come from? Rashi is quoting a Medrash Tanchuma. So let's look at the Medrash Tanchuma. Says the Medrash, Eila Shemois b'nei Yisrael. Eila Shemois. Yeah? At Moitzish HaKadosh Baruch Hu Karlem Shemos. Hashem gave the names. Nosan ben Lavram, Vayom leKarosa Shema Yitzchak. He says to him, call him Yitzchak. Al Shem Atzchoik, call him Yitzchak. V'yikra Shema Yitzchak. Why? He makes a cheshbon. Hischal HaKadosh Baruch Hu Moine Mishnah Yitzchak. It has to do with how long they were in Golus. Next, Vayom Lavram es Yitzchak benoi. Va'af Yaakov HaKadosh Baruch Hu Kar Lo Shem. Shenemer Vayikra Shema Yaakov. Vayikra, it doesn't say Vayikra'u. He called him. V'Yaakov, Arba Oisios Yeshboi. There are 4 letters. Yud, Ayin, Kuf, Beis. Each one is an Atorah. You know what an Atorah is? A crown. Atorais Shebonav Ma'atrim LaKadosh Baruch Hu. You want to hear what the crowns are? Zokter Azoy. Yud Keneged Aseres Adibris. Ayin Shivim Skenim. Kuf Keneged Heichel Shebonu Bonav LaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shegavu Meya Amma. Beis Keneged Shtei Luchais.
What was the 100?
100 is the opening of the Heichel. Each one has its own drasha. But I want to, before we get to that, Yud Al Shem Ashtei Luchas. Aseres Adibris. Beis Luchas. Yud is Aseres. Where were the Aseres Adibris written? On the Beis Luchas. How many words were written on the Aseres Adibris? 172. Ekev. Says Mefurish Balaturim in Parshas VaYishlach. Ekev letters are written on those 2 luchos, the Aseres Hadibros. The Aseres Hadibros are Ekev words. V'hoya Ekev Tishma'un, on that pasuk in Parshas Ekev. V'hoya Ekev Tishma'un, Ekev, those Beis Luchos, those Aseres Adibros have Kuf Ayin Beis words. Kuf Ayin Beis, 172 words, not letters, words. Check it out. You want to see? Balaturim. Here's a Balaturim right over here. It's your homework. Take a look. Go Parshas Ekev. Balaturim, Kuf Ayin Beis. So, Yud, Aseres Adibros, Ekev words. Yaakov, Ishtam, Yoshev Oholim. Titein, Emes, Yaakov. Emes is Torah. Yaakov Avinu was the Emes, was the state. Ekev. Yaakov, Yud, Aseres Adibros, Ekev, Ishtam, Yoshev Oholim. So says the Zera Shimshon, this name, Ekev, you could explain it, it's the heel. You could explain it, it represents the name that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave. That's up to you already to decide. Like by Adam HaRishon, Naaseh Adam. You could explain it this way, you can explain it that way. And Matoivu Manoyim, the fact that Yaakov Avinu was the tikkun of Adam HaRishon. Like the Gemara says, like we say it here so often, Shufra de Yaakov me'en Shufra de Adam. So it's not a coincidence that the same type of hachlafa, the same type of mistake that you could make by Adam HaRishon, you can make by Yaakov Avinu. Continues the Zera Shimshon. Ve'ein anu achrayim lemi sheyirtza loymer hepech ha'emes. I'm not going to be responsible for somebody who wants to say the opposite of the truth. Shenikra kach al shem ukva, because he was a Ramai. K'moshen is bar lekamon. And then he even goes on to say that even Esav HaRasha, it's not so mashma that he meant to say it's because of Yaakov Avinu fooled him. Because he fooled him. But instead he says and you know what it is? He's referring to the fact that Yaakov Avinu, like somebody said over here, Eila Dvarim, Eila Mitzvahs, Asher Adam Dosh Ba'akevav, is talking about the little mitzvahs. Yaakov Avinu is always Pachim Ketanim, Ale Kleina Zachin. Yaakov Avinu is Leiroi Keri B'Yamav, nothing is wasted. Every single thing he's mitztarif, Kaviyachot to the Bashefer, to the Rabbeinu Shalom. There's no waste in Yaakov Avinu, so he's mispashit. Ad ha'ekev, everywhere is connected to the Rabbeinu Shalom. And therefore he outlasts Esav. Ekev, like Ekev Ikvisa de Mashiach. Ekev outlasting, meaning he's the one, Ba'ekev Basof. At the end, he's going to get the schar. He's going to be the last person standing because Esav is going to be gone. That's the pshat. The reason for the brachas, like he says the Zera Shimshon, is because HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't want him to get it straight. He wanted to get it in a way which was not yashar, because your schar is not in this world. The brachas were not meant for this world specifically. Ikar brachas are meant not the schar in this world, for the next world. Azoy zokter. Therefore, and the next column, Hokaman Yaakov, second column, Shin Lamed Zayin, Lo Nikra Shem Al Shem Ukva, 3 lines from the top. Rak Shem Ekev Lemesh Schara Yila B'Soif. His schar is going to be in the Soif. And therefore, Titein Emes Li Yaakov. Dafka Yaakov Avinu. Dafka Yaakov, who was a person who persevered, a person who outlasted, a person who was so getrai and so honest to the Rabbeinu Shalom. Titein Emes Yaakov. It's not an embarrassing name. But what's Taka the Pshat? Listen to what the Bas Ayin says about the name Yaakov and about the koyach of Yaakov. Let me read for you this week's Parshas VaYishlach, and it's Kanirez, the Parsha of his Petira. It was Nifter Yud Beis Kislev. Not sure what year was this. When did this given? Tov Reish Aleph. Tov Reish Aleph. About 184 years ago. 184 years ago. What does it make out in Loazi?
1840.
1840. Okay. Zokter Azoy. VaYishlach Yaakov Melachim El Esav. Yesh Lefarish Al Derech HaMusar. Yaakov and Esav, says the Bas Ein. I'm reading the Heilige Werter. Yaakov and Esav represent Yetzer Toiv and Yetzer Hara. Yetzer Toiv v'Yetzer Hara. V'Sarei shel Esav hu ha-Mekor shel ha-Yetzer Hara. He's the Mekor, the source. V'hainu ha-Bechina shememenu mikabel ha-Yetzer Hara toisefes koyach v'oiz. The strength of the Yetzer Hara. Who empowered the Yetzer Hara? Esav HaRasha, who was the son of Yitzchak, the grandson of Yaakov, who literally sold his soul to the devil, who gave over, who when he was 15 years old, did all these Averis. He empowered the Koyach Hara of the world. He made the Koyach Hara stronger by taking such Kedusha that was potentially in him. Zera Yitzchak, Zera Avraham, and Sarah, and Rivka and Yitzchak, and all of that, he sold himself over to the Sitra Achra. Do you know how much koyach he gave to the Sitra Achra? Look at the world, and look at all the znus, and look at all the problems. That comes from Esav. That's all Esav. It's the koyach, the kedusha. Let me tell you a little bit of history. In 1910, 1910, no,
1912.
That was 1912.
1910, some Yidalach from New York moved out west. They moved to California. And they started Hollywood. Back in the early 1900s, all of the entertainment, there were eight places that were making movies. Paramount,
What's a movie?
MGM, Universal. All of them were owned by Kleinschige Yidalach. 5-1, 5-2. The old joke was you could take a knife and you could slice at 5-4 and you'd miss every one of them. They were all a bunch of short, smart, rich Jews. The whole Hollywood, the whole Tumah, of the way that yesh in Hebrew, Meir, maybe you can explain, shtifat moach, brainwashing. Shtifat moach. This is what's important. This is what love is. This is what this is. The whole brainwashing of America was koiches of Yidden that went astray. Jewish koiches infused into the country, and that's what gave them all of their entertainment. And from this came the Supermans and every single thing that was mentioned, whatever it was. All of that came from this. Jewish koyach. You know where that came from? Esav HaRasha. The koyach of Avram and Sarah, the koyach of Yitzchak and Rivka, and that infused the Yetzer. Says that Bas Ayin, the koyach of Yetzer Hara, he got his koyach from Yitzchak. Now, v'hu bechinas gasus haruach. The koyach comes from Bal Gaiva. Ubechina zu bo al yedei moisris. It comes from a person has a sach, a mensch hat geld. Person has money, it's the biggest taiva. He has, and then it becomes a Bal Gaiva. Shemisnai ge'odem bechinas moisris ha'achila v'shar tenugim v'al yedei zeh nisroimem liba shalodem. That's what picks up the heart of a person. Like it says, ken toichal v'savota V'ram livavecha. V'shachachtas Hashem lekecha. You'll eat, you'll be satiated, you'll be happy, you'll have everything you want, and then you cholil a person pen ram livavecha v'shachachta. Sha'yidei bechinas hasviya b'yoyser boladei shikcha b'Hashem v'shachachtas Hashem. Shachachta shikcha. Pay attention to that word. Shikcha, the lashon of choshech. Gasus haruach, it brings the guy. When a person's a bal gaiva cholila, that empowers the koiches hara. And the zeu shenemar eitzel Yaakov. Now let me up learning a sugya. Zog the heilige bas ayin. Listen, Rabbi Isai. Zog the bas ayin. And now I'm going to teach you the sugya. Vayeovek ish imoy. What was the Malach and Yaakov Avinu fighting about? What was the nature of this milchama? What was the ish? Why was he called an ish? What was he trying to do? Says the Bas Ayin, v'nikra ish meloshan yesh dahainu mebechinas yeshus v'gasus. Ich, me. You know what he tried to do? He tried to poison Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov, you're a Superman. You're amazing. You spent 20 years by Lavan. You beat him. You're perfect. V'yetzer hara, listen to the words of the Bas Ayin. Rotza lehachnis b'Yaakov bechinas yeshus v'gasus haruach. Sheyomer bilvav, Yaakov Avinu should say in his heart, Eich shehu tzadik godol v'oived Hashem. That's what he tried to do. The emes is, the Gemara says, on a pasuk in Bamidbar, Midbar matona, umatona nachliel, umanachliel bomos. The Gemara says, it's talking about where Klal Yisrael went, but the Gemara darshans it. A person who makes himself like a midbar means to say anybody who wants can step on him. And he learns Torah. Midbar matona. You get the Torah like a matona. Once you get the Torah matona, you get nachliel, you get the nachas Hashem. And from there you go to Bamos. The Yetzer Hara of a successful Talmud Chacham is he going to become a Baal Gaiva. If he becomes a Baal Gaiva, he loses all of the Siyata Deshmaya. The success of Torah, everybody had. The Yetzer Hara doesn't leave anybody alone. Every single one of us. Some people the taiva is momoin. Some people the taiva is erayis. Some people the taiva is kuvod. It's kuvod. And the Talmud, Yaakov Avinu, after all of this success, vayeovek ish imoy. He wanted, says the Bas Ayin, zok the Bas Ayin, he wanted to be machnes gaiva into Yaakov Avinu. You know what Yaakov Avinu says? I'm an Akev. He used the Akev, he used his lowliness to counter the koiches of the Yetzer Hara. Avo Yaakov nilcham. Here was the Bas Ayin zokt. Avo Yaakov nilcham v'nevek imoy. What did he do? Ayidei histaklos bebechinas avodas hamalachim. He looked up. VaYishlach Yaakov malachim. He said, as big as I am, you know what? You're right. I'm big. But look at the angels. They're bigger than me. And that's how he made himself humble. L'chein sholach malachim dainu eitzos behan hagosoi. Continues the Bas Ayin. And listen, hafla of a fellow. Vayovek ish imoy. Zog der azoi. When a person zois toiris ha'odam, when a person begishto avodas hakodesh apnimi, when a person is involved with avodas hakodesh, tzorech lahashpil velachnia bechinas el acher. A person has to take that other God. Eze el acher, which is the other God inside of a person? That's his Yetzer Hara. That's the koyach that he wants to be a Baal Gaiva. Shem bechuna b'shem samach mem. Shu sitra achra. Shu bechina gasas haruach. Ubameh hu nichna. How is a person nichna? Al yedei anova v'shiflus. A person who is humble. A person who says, you know what, maybe I accomplished, but look how many people accomplished more. Mosai, right? Olam Adam Yoimer, Mosai Yagia Maisai Lamaisai Avoisai. My avoisav, when am I going to be like them? Says the Bas Ayin. And for this reason, the opposite of Samach Mem Aleph Lamed. Samach Mem. We don't say the name. Aleph Lamed. 131 is Anova. 131. You want to save yourself from the Samach Mem? Be an Oniv. V'yadua shesare shel Esav hu Samach Mem. V'ya Yaakov Avinu ol Hashem tzorch lahashpiloi v'lachniyai. He had to be not only mashpil himself, but when the Samach Mem came into him, he had to bring him down. So listen to what he did. V'anova v'shiflus amiti. Ve'etzel Yaakov Avinu ayadavar kosher ma'oid lovi lebechinas anova v'shiflus be'emes. And the truth was, says the Basayin, and you have to have nevuah to say this kemat, it was hard for Yaakov Avinu. Do you know why? Shohaya sholem bechol hamidos. Because he was takesh sholem. Like it says, Zakosav Ayava Yaakov sholem. V'yitzorch leharamais harosh elyon lebechinas is takesh b'malachim. He had to look up to the malachim. And therefore he saw the oifanim v'chayis hakodesh and the srafim. Shavodosim be'ema v'yira v'zeya kedosha v'tahara. And he saw how bigger they are. And that brought him down. And that put him into the proper perspective. V'avoidu liyos tamid bebechina hachno amites. Lasses tamid to tshuva me'umka deliba, to do tshuva, because with hashpala. And I'm finishing. V'hinei. Bechinas anova shel Yaakov olav hasholem. This anova was so great that Yaakov Avinu, in his mind, said, whatever I'm successful, it's because I had a tata named Yitzchak, I had a Zayda named Avram. It's not me. Without them, I couldn't have done anything. I'm nothing. My parents, my Zaydis. Umachma zahoya bebechinas tshuva v'achno lahashpia or tshuva lebechinas Esav. And now says the Bas Ayin, I'm going to share with you what Yaakov Avinu really did. Voseter Giton. He said, Yaakov Avinu, it says, Ki malochav yitzav aloch l'shmocha b'chol derechecha. Ki malochav. Which malachim? You say it Friday night when you come home. Which malachim? Says the Zera Kodesh in Parshas VaYishlach. Yetzer Toiv. Shalom Aleichem Malachi Ashoreis. Right, the malachim are Malach Toiv and Malach Ra. Well, you know what the gematria of Malach is? 91. You know what two malachim are? 182. Yaakov. Two malachim, Malach Toiv and Malach Ra is Yaakov. 182. So you the Vasai. Ma? So steht, Malach, stei pamim Malach, gematria, Yaakov. Mehr von dem. Yaakov Avinu bald. Yaakov Avinu vayishtachvu arzo sheva pa'amim. 7 times he bowed down. Ad gishtoi ad ochiv. Hainu ishtachavo 7 times, each time taking away one of the koiches of Tumah of Esav. Says the Makne. Tomei is gematria tesmem aleph is how much? 50. 7 names of the Yetzer Hara. 7 names. 7 times 50 is how much? 350. Esav is gematria what? 376. Esav was full of Tomei, but he came from Zera Yitzchak. He came from Zera Avram. Yaakov Avinu bowed down 7 times. Took away all the tumah. 376 minus 350 is Yud Kei Vav Kei 26. Ad gishtoi ad ochiv. Ad gishtoi. No, this is the makna. Ad gishtoi ad ochiv. Says the Bas Ayin lechein vayoretz Esav lekrosei vayabcheyu and he gave him, he hugged him. Says Rashi, and he gave him a kiss. Halacha Esav soines Yaakov. Except this moment, when he kissed him with all his heart. One pshat, Reb Shimon Bar Yochai says he didn't try to kill him. He didn't try to bite his neck. I don't think so, says Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. Yaakov Avinu peeled away all of the koiches hatumah, And he got to the Nekudav, and then Esav became like a little puppy dog. Let me go with you. Let me send you things. Let me just take care of you. Yaakov says, no, that's it. That's it. Ad Gishtoi, that's the pasuk ad Ochiv. Till he came to his brother. That's what he says. Choshech. Esav was the Choshech. Vayovek imoy ad alois hashachar. He brought the darkness out. He brought the darkness out. Or is 207. Choshech is gematria 326. Together is gematria Yisrael. Or Choshech Yisrael. Or Choshech ad alois hashachar. When he fought and the Malach couldn't penetrate him, and all the koiches of Esav could not bring gaiva into Yaakov. Yaakov geblibn azoi kadosh v'tahar. He was so kadosh v'tahar that he was even able to, like a magnet, pull the good of Esav out. That's the koich of Yaakov. That's the koich of Yisrael. And Memela, when Yidden everywhere in the world are lost in darkness, and they don't know about their neshama, and all of a sudden comes a spark of light, and it awakens them. The Balatanya writes, you can have a Yid who was chiloni, fry, esentrefis, and all of a sudden comes a moment, and he has a mesiras nefesh from a Yiddishkeit. Somebody challenges his Judaism, and he's willing to die al kiddush Hashem. That's the spark of Yaakov Avinu, which in this week's parsha the Satan could not rip out. He overpowered that koyach of Ra'ad Alois Hashachar. He was able to bring out from the darkness. He was able to bring out that choshech which was inside the bria that Esav had put in, and he was able to go beyond that choshech, and that's titen emes liYaakov. This is what Yaakov Avinu. So the emes is kayim lo'ad, ad ha'ekev, the yud which is mislabish over the end of the guf of a person, the end of the person, that ad soif tzuras ha'odam, ad soif kaima of Yaakov Avinu. You're never ever disconnected from that yidaleh, from that little yidaleh that's inside every single one of us. Schusam yagam aleinu.
Rabbi,